Hey, family, and welcome to Critical Sense Making Sessions with your girl, Revolutionary Rika. Before we introduce today's guest and talk about today's topic, I just wanted to provide space for everybody with everything that we're dealing with, the loss of our young people in the last couple of weeks, along with just the violence and the continual anti-blackness and hate against the API community. So just wanted to give space to recognize and stand in solidarity with those who are fighting to change what we're seeing. And then also just acknowledge and lift up those names, the young people that we lost over the last few weeks. And so today's episode is episode 34. I'm excited because today's topic is about relationships, and today's guest is Solomon Webster. Solomon is a Bay Area native who is passionate about faith, about family, and about his health and games. And so, Solomon, tell us a little bit more about who you are and choose one word to describe how you're showing up.
Well, as you said, Rika, I was born in San Francisco, went to school in San Francisco, but raised in Oakland. So I got a bit of both cities growing up. Spent a lot of time in the city since my parents worked out there, but church and everything else was out here in Oakland. Um, as far as activities, I went to the Boys and Girls Club off of Page Street. Played football in the city, but still have my friends out here as well in Oakland. So I got a bit of both cities, and so honestly, right now, coming a little stressed because I be enrolled in the school in January, and we still have stuff that's due, even though we had our last class today. So yeah, just trying to like get a little bit of rest before I go back to doing the school work.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for agreeing to come on the Critical Sense Making Sessions. And we're going to jump right into our icebreaker question, which is, what are you doing these days to find peace amidst everything going on in the world?
So I'm trying to find time by myself because sometimes I get caught up with my thoughts, but then I have to realize that just sitting down and just doing something like I said before, I like games that kind of help me get out of thinking about what's going on, what's the bad and the negative that's going on. I like watching anime because it gets me out of reality.
Hmm.
That's one thing that I enjoy watching. And then me and my wife, we work out almost every single day.
Hmm.
Um, and sometimes I even go run by myself. And that kind of helps with just me focusing on what I'm doing rather than thinking about what's going on uh, right now with the state of America.
Absolutely. Well, again, like I said, thank you, Solomon, for agreeing to come on and share your authentic truth with our viewers. And so we are now going to turn our attention to the topic of today, which is relationships. And before we do, I know you shared a little bit about growing up in San Francisco and Oakland, but just tell us a little bit more about life growing up in the Bay Area.
So me for me growing up, I was surrounded by the rainbow in a sense. Like I went to school with Asian, blacks, like Latinos, Samoans. I really didn't start getting into school with white folks until I got to high school per se.
Mhm.
Um, but the experience was still the same. But going back to like elementary school, when I was in elementary school, my first best friend was his name was Bob, and he was Chinese, and I liked hanging out with him. I don't know why I liked hanging out with him. It was just who I vibe with up until his grandmother told him that they were moving, and then after they moved, I don't know if I had anybody as close until a friend of mine named Tiffany Berry, who was a black girl. We were friends, and we spent time time together in fourth and fifth grade,
Mhm.
until we went to middle school.
Mhm.
But I went to school with at that time Polynesians and learned how to say a bad word in Samoa. So when I was in elementary school, um, I've continued with minority relationships in middle school, and
Mhm.
really once I got to high school is when I started to have relationships with people outside of the minority community, which was white folks. As a matter of fact, one of the guys who I can still call on today, his name is he was my quarterback in high school, a white guy named McBethel. Now, what was so funny is how he was still that smart kid that
Mhm.
went to a public school because he was homeschooled for a while, but he was hanging out with the brothers and the Polynesians because that's who was on the football team with him. But he was
Mhm.
taking AP classes and stuff like that. And I was like, how can he do it? Because my mind could not keep up with the stress. He was able to go to school. He was able to practice football and still
Mhm.
be able to get A's in all his AP classes. So I admire that because my brain didn't work how he worked. Um, but I still consider him a good friend. I actually went to his house last year in after not last year, the year before, after our high school went to the championship and lost. Well, I went over there hanging out for about an hour before I left. And yeah, I had to stay at this house. I also had to stay in this house. My parents went to Europe and left me. So when we was in high school, but just having that bond outside of my own ethnic group, uh, because he was wasn't judgmental. He had a different light on people who were black and from the urban community than other whites. And there's other guys who I got white guys who I got connection with who has the same type of I thought the ideology of blacks in the urban community too, but he was the first one that I made a connection with that wasn't black or Polynesian or lived in that urban community. So it was real good making a connection with him.
Mhm.
Um, yeah,
Okay. And so, just thinking about the village that you had growing up, which relationships did you imitate and why?
I want to say that I imitated the my father's. He brought me around a lot of black brothers that was positive or and knew about history. It wasn't, me like a lot of people my age hanging around with I don't want to say thug mentality, but just like not knowing mentality, and only imitating what they seen. So I knew
Mhm.
about a lot of the Black Panthers. I knew about like different types, like the slave trade. And the way I look at the N word compared to other brothers is different because I don't like to be called it. Um, because I know the power that it actually has, and other people be like, "Well, it's this, we're changing to our own," and I'm like, I don't see it like that. Now, when you calling somebody that, and you mean it for harm towards that person. So a lot of I was taught that growing up, and it kind of shaped how I look at society because I had the knowledge from brothers who learned from who knew about Malcolm X, who knew about Martin Luther King. And it's funny because I was talking about this yesterday in my class that growing up I was really on the peaceful Martin Luther King path. But when I got older and I learned more about Malcolm X and his journey to Mecca and how he changed his ideas about white people because he seen black and white worshiping together and there was no racism in Mecca, how he was willing to accept. That's the type of ideology that I kind of believe in too. Like I'm for my people, but I know there's other people out there that's not of the black uh, culture or black upbringing that is also for us. And if you ever
Mhm.
look at it, any time of history, there was always white folks who walked with black folks. It wasn't just black folks walking by themselves because uh, we always had a push by a group of white folks who believe that the same thing we believe, that everything shouldn't be lopsided, it should be equal. So
So we always had some co-conspirators, huh?
yeah, I mean, there's people who died for black white folks who died for black for black rights. So I'm like, if there was white people that were willing to die for black votes, then I can't say all white folks are bad, or why all white folks are against us.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing about your childhood. I'm going to move us to the second set of questions.
Okay.
And so, how did you develop relationships when you started your professional career?
Say that one more time. I had a hard time hearing that first part.
So, how did you develop relationships in your professional career, or how do you?
Well, I say that when it comes to developing relationships, I ask and I well, growing up, I was more observant than I am now, and now I'm a little more open, a little more out there, and I listen to what people have to say to see who I want to vibe with, as far as and normally when it comes to like trying to build a relationship, it's never to a point to where I just hate somebody, but sometimes I feel like, okay, this person may not be someone I want to work with in the long term, but this person right here, like I can see he got a good head on his shoulders. Let me explore more into what this person has to offer, because although um, although what I'm trying to say, um, although I have this somewhat like passive side for black folks, I try to get information from multiple sources because there's people who's willing to give the information out. And so my relationship kind of based on if somebody can offer something to me and if I can offer something to them in return. And it's not like I'm taking advantage of that person. It's more like, okay, you have a source of information that can be useful for my detrimental life, and same thing for you. Like I can probably give you something that can help you, whether it be health, whether it be something about like investment, stocks, whatever the case may be. And so and then and then at the end of the day, can we have like a little bit of fun together, this conversation, or games or whatever the case may be that we may have in common. And so I have those friends who I can also exercise with, who I can also work out with outside of my wife. And just having like a community where we not only are we just bouncing ideas off each other, but we can also hang out, do things like physical activities, or chilling, playing games, or watching a Netflix movie, or whatever the case may be. And so I try my best to like keep an open mind to other people's ideas and other people's opinions about things. But I, at the same time, it's like, well, don't, have open minds about minds as well. Like, I hear what you're saying. I'm gonna give you my opinion, you give me yours. At the end of the day, we may disagree, but we still, can hang out, we still can chill, whatever the case may be.
It's funny when you said physical activities. I thought about Step Brothers when they when they made the bunk beds, and he said, "We got more space. We can do physical activities." Sorry,
Well,
I mean,
that's all right. That's all right. Like anything that's like competitive to me is something that I vibe with somebody else, whether I lose or win.
yeah.
It's just that competitive in me. I want to I want to win, but that doesn't mean we can't have fun if I lose, So whether it be us who could do the most jump squats in a room or whatever the case may be.
Okay, I thought she was gonna say who can answer the most questions and categories.
Yeah, you better at that than I am.
Okay, so moving us along, in your career so far, how have you responded to relationships that are strained in your work life? So you talked about those who you feel like you want to avoid because there may not be a fun, an exchange between you two,
Yeah,
or
right now I'm not working, but when I was working, there was someone who he just, you got those people who just negative, and it's no matter what you do, they're negative. If they have a bad day, or if you're having a good day and they're having a bad day, they just that vibe come in a room, and it kind of makes you be like, you know what, I want to get away from this person. So it was a guy who, it got so bad that I ended up switching um what I was doing as far as daily job duties, so
Mhm.
that I could stay away from him. And it's just knowing that, okay, I can't be around it. If I got to work with him, I'll work with him, and I'll try to be as civil as possible. But I cannot be around him every single day, because I don't know when this guy's going to blow his casket and go off. Because he didn't done it with almost everybody on the crew,
Mhm.
and uh, I don't want it. It's not one of those people who I want him to lose his job or anything like that. But he's unaware with his how he reacts or acts towards people because of what's going on outside of the workplace. And even when he's been told, he still do it. And so it's just one of those things where I decided, rather than me snapping on him again, or going off on him again, I'd rather be in a different place where I don't have to necessarily work with him majority of the time. And so every single day. And so I try to put myself in an area where I can prevent as much conflict as possible.
Mhm.
Because I'm not a confrontation person to begin with. I've never been the type of person who try to find try to find a conflict with anybody. And so for me to go out of my element and be ready to jump on somebody is rare.
Mhm.
And I get it from my father. My father is not the type of person. Like, he'll go off on people in the house, and it won't be every single day. It'll be maybe once or twice out of the month, or even take even longer. And I'm the same way. I'm not the type of person to snap on somebody. So if someone got that much power over me, I cannot be around that person on a regular basis, because after a while it builds up and it builds and it builds. And it's like, you know what, dude, like you really like irritating me with your attitude. You negative all the time, you this, you that. Like you got some issues to work out. And so um that's how I would normally settle it. And if I had to work with him, I just try to shut him out and wouldn't give him me, where most people I could give him myself, as far as conversation and stuff like that. I just shut them out and be like, we got work to do. I don't want to hear nothing. Let's get the work done. Let's go. And so
Mhm. Mhm. Sounds like, so that's that emotional intelligence, knowing when to don't ignore or respond, or how to respond in a
yeah,
way that, look, it's about work. I like
and just trying to think ahead, so that
that. Mhm.
it's I'm not catching the case.
Absolutely, I hear you. Well, thank you. So I'm gonna move us into the third set of questions. And in your opinion, what makes relationships work?
Say that last part. In my opinion, what?
What makes relationships work?
I think what makes relationship work is I'm trying to think of the word. It's on the tip of my tongue. Compromise. If people are willing to compromise, then relationship doesn't work in general. Whether it's a relationship with a couple, a relationship with a friend, relationship with family. There got to be some type of compromising on both sides, not just one person compromising all the time, but on both sides, or the groups. Each person in the group need to be able to compromise. And so I think that's the most. I think that's pretty much all it is: compromising and um, I was going to say love, but sometimes it's not. Like you may not. Depending on like a work situation, you may not necessarily love the person. You just have to like to get the work done. You're both compromises because the work need to be done. And so
Okay, I got two questions for you because I know you say I know spirituality is important to you,
mhm.
and you said love, and you said you may not love the person, but in your faith, it teaches it
In your
teaches.
faith, yes, yes, it's a different. In through the Bible, yes, it's still love through that Bible because you're not you're trying to so for example, in that situation, I'm not gonna just be like I hate him, da, 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 da. Like I'm not showing that type of aggression because then it's like I really don't love him. I'm
Mhm,
still willing to work with him. I'm still willing to get work done. I just don't want to be around him 100%. 100%. I'm here at work because I know that his energy, his spirituality, is going to affect mine,
mhm,
and so I could still show him love, and in really what that is respect. I could still show him respect, which is also a certain type of love, and still get the work done. But as far as like the world says, okay, I don't may not like him, but I'll work with him get the job done. So spiritually, yes, love. Worldly, I guess you could say respect.
okay,
So and compromise. Like I said, compromise is the most important thing.
absolutely. Um, which of your relationships is most important to you and why?
Um, I say God, my spirit, my faith is most important because He shows me how to love, and if I don't know how to love, then it's hard for me to love not only myself but my wife and my family.
Mhm,
He shows me how the Lord loved the church, so and how as a husband I'm supposed to love the church like I uh, uh, love I was supposed to love my wife like He loved the church. So
all
that's the most important thing because I may not feel like it sometimes. I may not want to do it, but I do it because of the
right.
fact that I want to I want to take care of that person or I love that person and I love that person. And so
I like it. And so, and why should people care about developing healthy relationships?
well, I think it's good to develop healthy relationships because if you know somebody who's going through what you're going through and 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 like you're spiritual and you the person who you know is spiritual as well. um Sometimes not even spirit like spiritual like you, they may have a different religion but they have the know-how, and sometimes God used people who may not believe in them to do things, help you with things that you need help with. So like for example, back in 2016 my parents was losing their house,
Hmm.
and one of my church members, I went to their house because there's two family that live there that's from the church, and the woman of the house asked me, well, "What's going on? How you doing?" Da, da, da. And I told her like, well, right now we're going through a problem with the house. My dad may lose it, this, that, and the third. And she's like, I've worked with the group that help people keep their homes, and she gave me contact information to give to my parents to contact. What was so funny about it is my mom was so upset for me telling her, yet that woman helped save that woman helped save not only my parents' health, but helped my mom get out of a loan debt
Hmm.
that she had. Um, and later on, my mom had to thank her because she was like, I was so opposed to my son actually telling you about it. But if it wasn't for you, I not only will we not have saved the house, but I still be in debt for school. And so just stuff like that. Now that was a church member, but God can use anybody to help help you. And uh relationship helps because they may not they may have gone through what you're going through and give you the information that you need to get the same help, or they could just be spiritual friends where they pray for you and stuff like that, and then like kind of help uplift your spirit. And so just that's to me, that's the importance of it. And then having a good time. I think it's good to have a good time. God didn't put this on this earth just to pray for him all day every day and not have fun while we're on this earth. So he wants us to pray, but he's like, have fun as well. So
Thank you so much for sharing that.
okay.
Just in that story you shared, just our ability to let go of our pride sometimes because we don't want people to know that we in this situation, or as Black people that the practice of, we don't want people in our business when,
Hmm.
like you said, sometimes we cut off our own blessings because we don't want to talk about it. We too afraid. Everybody's messed up, and we've all been
Right.
in situations where we need help. So you sharing that story, I could definitely see that.
But that's why a lot of Black folks don't go to therapy either. And I know
Absolutely.
people done wrong in the past, but there's a lot of just Black folks is getting their therapy degree that's trying to come back.
Hmm.
And it's it's you working your own problems out, but at the same, also being able to tell somebody who's not a therapist may have information you need in order for you to overcome whatever difficulties you may be going through. So it's not everybody's trying to get us or talk bad about us.
Absolutely, absolutely. You got to be open though. But
Yeah.
if you haven't done, that goes back to like, I got to bring up trauma. If you haven't done your inner work, you see people, you see everybody as a threat. But
Hmm.
once you're able to do that inner work, you start to see through them different eyes. Then you'll be open to, dang, everybody I come in contact with, I'm supposed to have some sort of exchange, or there's some, like, it's a purpose. It ain't just by happenstance.
Right.
So, moving us into our final set of questions, I have enjoyed learning about just, the ways that you've developed relationships and some of the important relationships to you.
Well, what I want to add too is, and I'm sorry to cut you off. Just being in a multicultural area, I've learned different cultures and ideologies other than my own, and embrace what they're telling me. Now, I may not, believe in certain things that they believe in, but it's not one of those things where I'm like attacking them. I'm letting them, I'm open to learning about somebody else's experience and then trying to ponder what it's like being in their shoes. Because at the end of the day, that makes me realize how valid that their life has been, and also the fact that they got somebody who's listening to them and not judging them for whatever it is that they're expressing. So
Hmm. Hmm. You know, I like that you brought that up because I feel like you said that, and we talked about that on several different podcasts that I've been on, and just some conversations I've been a part of in the last year about the exposure to other ways of being. And not that we are always, because most of us, all of our stories are parallel, right?
mhm.
We change the names are different, or the characters, but when you look at, it's all similar, these stories of overcome and resilience and all of this, right, of people of color. And
Mhm.
so when you say like exposing to other ways of being, it just helps you to broaden your perspective on what is really happening in the world. And
Mhm.
um, I, like you, have been in similar, just diverse working groups as far as where I've worked in my career, and then also as far as schools and young people that I've worked with. And so just listening to you say that, I've realized now why I've been successful with relationship building, um, in every aspect of my life,
Hmm.
personal relationships, professional, spiritual, um, even just kind of like, you know, community relationships.
Because at the end of my faith is not for me to smash anybody else's faith. You know,
Absolutely.
it's to love and respect. So that's how my relationships normally is built, off of me respecting whatever you say come out your mouth before you even say it.
Yeah.
I may disagree with it, but I respect it. You know, it's different than me saying, bashing what you're saying, and you like, no, that's not true. That's not real. Like, you go on to, like, that's not that's not what my my walk with Jesus is about. So,
That's right. So, so share anything you are doing to just to help others.
well, it's funny. Like I said, a lot of stuff that I'm bringing up, I actually brought it to my class that I'm in, and what I want to be able to do in the future. Now, remind you, me and my wife are trying to start up a business where she's a personal trainer, and I want to assist her and help her with like figuring out how she want to run it, and like we're kind of far off from opening up a business. I mean, a building for us to have our own like facility, but um on top of that, what I want to be able to do is have like an outreach program and go back to those areas that I went to school for. I mean, went to school in elementary, middle school, and high school, and just teach the importance, or start a program and just teach the importance of financing and investing at a young age. Like starting from elementary school on up to high school, just because I think a lot of people in the urban community um, don't learn this. Even the parents don't learn this and don't know anything about like investment or budgeting or finances. And some of them struggle with it only because they don't make the means to really think about doing it. But as a kid, just trying to like give them an option and an opportunity to like see a different side of money, rather than just having to buy food or it, what I've seen when I was 18, 19, spending my whole check on J's, because it's like, if you able to invest this at 18, maybe by 40, you can buy 100 J's. We don't know. And so, that's something I want to do. And really push the fact that like, um, I mean, Black folks been around, behind the curve with investment for many years, and it's mostly because they didn't have it have the means to get access to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you got white kids learning it, but they live outside of the urban community and they learn it at school that they go to and stuff, but the urban kids aren't, and their parents don't know. How do you really learn how to invest? How do you really know how to finance, or learn how to budget your money if your parents don't know? You know what I'm saying? And so it's a lot of information out there now that
Yeah,
wasn't available 10, 15 years ago.
absolutely.
And believe me, I wish I had my hands on it when I was in high school, because if I did, I'd probably be a little richer right now. But at the same time, I'm still learning myself, and it's a process. But just starting from the basis of like, okay, if you put your dollar into a 4% savings account or a 4% dividends account, or whatever the case may be, at the age of 10, would that be more beneficial than you spending that money on that candy bar? Like, how much money you have when you're 18, 19? Like, I know it's going to take some time, but I'm just, and I'm just giving an example. Of course, it wouldn't, you want to put more than $1 in there, but just give an example of like, just making them think, rather than being like, oh, I know the candy bar, I could give me a candy bar for $1, which is a lot more expensive than when I was a kid. Um, but just saying, okay, yeah, you get a candy bar now, but how much money would you have later if you invest that dollar into something else? And so and just being able to reach out to those kids so that they can think differently than how the previous generations have been thinking about money. So
Mhm. Okay, thank you. And so, have you taken any action to advocate for healthy relationships?
advocate for healthy relationships. Honestly, lately, no. I can't say I have. Um, I've just been like into my schoolwork and helping my wife with her business right now, and learning for my learning first before going to before trying to go teach others about investment. As far as relationship is concerned, I'm just right now I'm trying to because me and my wife have it'd be our second year in July being married. Um, try to develop our relationship a little stronger, only because um, we have a lot of differences, and when there's a lot of differences, normally there's a lot of struggle within a marriage. And the good thing is we got Jesus, so like even if we get upset with each other, we pray to Him. But um, in the future, I do plan to like not only develop more relationships within my or for myself so that I can better myself, but develop relationships with help other people learn how to develop relationships with other people. And it's funny that you say that because I think a lot of my relationships are with older men,
Mhm.
Black, Latino, and Polynesian for the most part, because either I just been raised around a lot of older men. Like I from my childhood, I've always been around men in their 20s and their 30s. So like it's funny because my grandmother on my dad's side, I've taken her to these brunches, and at the end of them, she said, "Wow, like they really the women there really enjoyed talking to you because you was able to hold a conversation." I was like, "Oh, okay." I mean, I was just having talking what I would normally talk with somebody who at home or at church or whatever the case may be. So I guess I got that spirit of a wise, somewhat of a wise man, because in my 20s I'm having conversation with 60 and 70 year olds about different things and teaching them about certain things, but I'm learning from them as well. So um like I guess it's easier for me to build relationships, but as far as just trying to advocate for it, I haven't done it recently. So
And so, my last and final question is: have you taken any action with everything going on, all the pandemic, a couple of pandemics we got, the anti-blackness and just the economic issues, the
mm,
health disparities? Have you taken any action to counteract oppression?
just speaking out for the most part. I when these Asian attacks started happening,
Mhm.
um so I'm not on social media a lot. I don't, because I wanted to say something, but I did, like I guess I need to get out of myself and do it sometimes. But whenever I have conversation with people, I tell them how mad I am about the Asian folks being attacked, not because they're Asian, but because they're people and because I have Asian friends, and what makes me more upset, and like I can only go off of like the stuff that I seen other than like Texas and a few. Whenever I seen other black folks attacking Asian folks, and it makes me upset because I've seen something like that when my grandmother, my mom's mom was still alive, and it was a block away from her house, her apartment building. Um, and these black kids was dragging this Asian woman, and it made me upset because it wasn't the fact that she was Asian, but the fact that she was an older woman, and I thought about my own grandmother.
That's
Like,
right.
like if that was my grandmother, I'd be so mad. I'd be ready to find them and fight them. So it has more to do with respect to it. A lot of these kids nowadays don't have respect for elderly for the elderly in general, but
Mhm.
like because they're vulnerable. And
Mhm.
so I already feel some type of way about that. And this was before anti-Asian uh, hated violence against Asians started to rise. And so just the vulnerability of the people who they've been attacking has been older people and has been women. And regardless if they're Asian or not, if you taking advantage of somebody who you trying to attack somebody who's vulnerable, you're a punk to me. You're a straight up punk because you're not gonna do that to a man. But that's what they prey on. They prey on vulnerable people. So it could be an Asian person that's young if they feel like that Asian person is vulnerable, but really it's been older people and it's been women. And yes, they're Asian, but on top of that, they're vulnerable to defend themselves. So at the end of the day, I don't have no respect for people who do that. That's when my respect goes out the window for anybody. When you're doing stuff like that, and between the man that got killed by somebody running full speed at him like he was a football player in San Francisco, and down here Oakland, downtown Oakland, where the dude, just the
You're right.
respect factor for those people. Like I was like, I hope they lock them up and throw away the key because you deserve whatever you get.
We
So
gotta protect our elders. It's,
yeah,
yeah, people don't realize they've categorized us. So we try to stick with our own kind. They done that to us.
yeah,
I don't see them as, I ain't even looking at Asian. I'm looking at elders, like you
I am
said.
too.
I'm looking at my grandparents. They that
Yeah.
age. Y'all would do that to her. Like I'm not okay with none of
Yeah.
this.
And
So
and and I don't know. Like there's a story that they try to rob my grandmother, our grandmother, and she's in a wheelchair. I guess they were trying to take it, and but she had since like for some reason something told her to click her seatbelt, and they thought she had a gun. So so but this was years ago. This wasn't around the same time this is happening, but this was years ago. But I still look at it like it doesn't matter you know what the ethnic group is. um like if you attacking someone older, if you attacking someone who is vulnerable, disabled, whatever the case may be, like I have no sympathy for you, man. I'm ready to if I'm there and I see it, I'm about to fight you. So it's just that respect factor is gone. And so
yeah. So yeah. So again, thank you, Solomon, for coming on and talking about relationships. I would love to lift up just a couple of the pearls that I heard you say. We had a great conversation. You definitely highlighted the importance of emotional intelligence when engaging with and interacting with anybody, all relationships, and knowing when to respond and when to just ignore. I like that. Also, that you know the role, I mean, the importance of relationships and how it's really to help you provide kind of this exchange of sometimes skills, sometimes knowledge, and sometimes just positive, a piece of positivity speaking into somebody's lives. The other piece I liked was the social interaction. And so we saw him during this pandemic how isolated you can be when you live alone and how
mhm,
important social interaction is because
mhm.
everybody in the world needs therapy.
Yeah,
And
true,
then
true. And believe
also,
me, I hear it from my mom on a regular basis.
and then you talked about compromise and that if people aren't willing to compromise, it does not work with any relationship. And so that's both sides of everybody in the relationship, making
Mhm,
sure they're willing to compromise. It can't always be your way, right?
mhm.
And willing to agree to disagree. I like that you said that. And then that God shows us how to love. And so, in order to love ourselves and our spouses and our family and our friends and our neighbors, we have to look and see how he modeled love. And so I
Yeah,
think that was a really a pearl that stuck out to me. And then you talked about the purpose, like in building relationships, about helping others, and you're actually helping that person fulfill a purpose. It's not just I'm helping this person, but like you said, your mom them needed help in that. Which you told that lady, she intervened, she interacted, and they were able to do what they needed to do. And so
Hmm.
that's helping that purpose, that person achieve a purpose, right? And so I think that was really one that stood out to me. Um, and then just to enjoy the company of others, laughing and sharing, and celebrating just our joyous moments, and sometimes even some sad moments, but being
Yeah,
able to be there and be a shoulder to cry on, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
the last thing I heard you say that really stood out was just exposure to other ways of being. So it broadens your perspective. We think about when we were kids and we barely left home, so we mastered the house, right? And then we were able to go out in community, and then we were able to master our local community and then the city, and then it just continued to grow. And so we stagnate ourselves when we refuse to grow and learn and see the ways that other people are, the way that they be. And so I think it's important for us to really start to expound like who we connect with, who we talk to, who we
Hmm.
build relationships with, or we'll stay closed minded and we'll stay in these same situations. And so at this time, I would like for you to share one last tip or piece of advice with our viewers, and the last voice that they hear will be yours.
Well, I didn't think of anything to say that, but just being able to have a relationship with somebody. I learned this from our preacher, having somebody to have a relationship that is older so that you can learn from someone who's around the same age as you, so they can push you and you can push them, and someone younger so that you can pass it on to somebody else. I think that's very powerful because then it's not locked into somebody and lost forever when they're gone. And
Mhm.
so yeah, build relationships up, um, learn more so you can give more, pour more to other people, and continue to be a positive light in the world.
All right, thank you.
No problem.